Hello, I'm Askar Sherlief and you're watching the news from Kazakhstan. More than 7,000 people are being evacuated from the flooded villages of eastern Kazakhstan. Over 1,000 houses are deluged, hundreds of households destroyed and dozens of winter huts remain underwater. No victims have been reported so far, but the villages are desperate. According to preliminary data, 34,000 heads of cattle and more than 1,500 horses were killed. The rescue operations are complicated by the weather conditions. Yet another storm warning was issued recently. Almost all local roads are closed. The most difficult situation is observed in the Tarbagatay area. Nearly 400 houses and the bridge in the village of Kazalkesik are destroyed, and all of the traffic in the direction of Ayagus is closed. Moreover, bridges in another 4 villages are in the emergency condition. People who lost their homes are receiving humanitarian aid, medical supplies, personal items and food from the region. The authorities have also set up a special bank account for the victims of the Tarbagatay area. All notice celebrations were cancelled in the region due to the situation. It is expected that on Wednesday a government commission led by the emergency minister will visit the area. Meanwhile, the number of victims of the flood in the village Kazalagash of the Almaty region has increased to 43 people. According to the press service of the Regional Internal Affairs Department, on March 23rd, the body of a missing man was found 8 kilometers from the village. The police continue the search for a woman and a child, the lost among those listed as missing. Meanwhile, a new problem is facing Kazalagash. Drinking water samples in the village of Aksu area didn't meet the standards of the microbiological expertise, reported representatives of the emergency ministry. This data was obtained after 2 wells were drilled in the area. The test results showed that the water is not drinkable and special warning signs were installed in the location. At the same time, the committee of the Almaty Region Sanitary Department recommends the healthcare authorities to purchase pertaining to typhoid fever, salmonella, dysentery, bacteriophages, as well as vaccines against hepatitis A, says the report of the emergency ministry. While some are struggling with the forces of nature, others do so with a bureaucratic machine. Widows of the dead miners from Abay are dissatisfied with the ongoing investigation. They wrote a complaint letter to the Attorney General and President's administration. A specially set up commission tried to explain the widows why it cannot specifically say who is to blame for the deaths of their loved ones.
The widows of the miners who died in the Abay mine are suing the commission of the representatives of ArcelorMittal, Research Institute and rescuers. The mine blast happened more than 2 years ago, but the investigation never progressed. The district head, mine director and chief engineer are still in their positions. We are concerned about the fact that they are still trusted to manage the majority of the miners. In January of 2008, 30 miners were killed in the mine tragedy, while more than 20 other people were still underground. Later, the leadership of ArcelorMittal Temirtau branded the explosion a natural emergency. Our husband says that the gas was there even before the new year, but it is still unclear to me why then this tragedy could not be prevented by the management. The Commission representatives report that the investigation is suspended, as the explosion area should be examined first, yet it is still inaccessible due to high temperatures.
Judging by what you say, people were killed deliberately here, which never happened.
Yes, it did.
No, it didn't.
The guilty will never be found, even if the label will be excavated. According to experts, the high temperatures that still remains underground after the explosion has likely destroyed any evidence, if it ever was there. The leadership of the mine is confident that even if the Commission manages to reach the explosion area, its efforts will be in vain.
Another aspect of the law enforcement agency's work became the center of attention for international human rights defenders. The authorities should eradicate police tyranny in the country, stated representatives of Amnesty International in their special report. It is stated in the document that despite its promises, the country, which currently chairs the OSCE, practices torture and other types of cruel treatments of its citizens. According to the NGO Kazakh Coalition Against Torture, 600 acts of violence and harassment by security agencies were recorded during the last 18 months alone. Also, arrests are carried out without proper documentation, while the detained are often not provided with attorneys. Moreover, Kazakh courts ignore arguments of the defense, who frequently report about forced confessions. According to experts, the atmosphere of impunity cannot be eliminated largely due to the corruption among the law enforcement and judiciary agencies. The head of Kazakh government chose to ignore the reports of international organizations. Karim Masimov also remained a man of few words during his visit to Almaty, where he inspected under-construction facilities of the upcoming Asian Games as well as the International IT University established by the order of the President.
The International IT University has been preparing for the visit of the Prime Minister for the entire week. For these occasions, students even attending classes during the weekend. The university was established a year ago by the order of the President. At the moment, only about 300 students study here, but they do have strategic goals, says the administration.
Look at the current state of Kaznet. Its content, both in Kazakh and Russian, is quite scant. If we do not deal with this issue now, our population will have to look for the information from foreign sources, including Russian. Thus, we should take care of our security.
The university's authorized capital is $6 million, half of which are the funds of the National Infocommunication Holding ZRD. It is possible that Premier Masimov came here to inspect the spending of the state money. Unfortunately, the main blogger of the country was rather untalkative. The visit to the university was followed with a bus tour of Asian Games facilities, although by the time the PM reached the sports palace, he was already being escorted by security and police motorcades. Masimov entourage includes Almaty Mayor Ahmedjan Yesimov, his deputies, the leadership of the National Infocommunication Holding ZRD, and the Finance Minister Bulat Chamyshev.
I think that they just want to check the spending of the money that they have allocated.
Masimov visited the funded by the Samruk-Kazyna properties, but did not give any public comments. However, the results of the tour are expected to be announced on March 24th, when the city administration will hold a meeting with the Prime Minister's participation. It is likely that blaming and praising of the officials for their performance will take place behind the closed doors.
The President's anniversary, scandal linked to the monument of national heroes next to the capital's dump, and immoderate ambitions of the elite. These all were the topics of the folk criticism. During the celebration of Nauruz, Kazakh citizens participated in a rare event, the competition of traditional folk singers.
Those are to blame for all troubles who are blinded by the riches and who ignore the heritage of their nation. I won't bow before the authorities, feeling like an angel in the skies, not making a mistake. Let's celebrate the anniversary as it should be, since there is no use for the monument. After 2 years of inactivity, Akyns, the national poets of Kazakhstan, have gathered again for the contest on the ancient Kazakh art of singing dialogue improvisation called the Aytys, which was held under the motto of Til Kespek Jok, which can be translated as "the tongue cannot be cut off." Today, the Akyns are not favored by the authorities, just as they have always been for centuries, because there is too much truth in their songs.
The authorities have asked the TV channels not to give us airtime.
24 singers have come from all over the country. The organizers recall that in the past, Aytys contests used to be sponsored by the officials.
It's a pity that people like Gulmuhamedov and Sablanov ignored this because they became known officials due to Aytys.
The relations of authorities and Akyns have deteriorated because Aytys favorites Balganbek Imashov, Aybek Aliyev and Zara Takhtamysova talk openly about the problems of simple people. Their songs are aimed at lawlessness of the authorities.
It is important for Akyns to follow their traditions, while other art forms imply finding one's individually. The proof of this could be seen during the 11th Festival of Young Artists Mart, taking place annually in Pavlodar.
Such a diverse month as March represents spring in all of its beauty, which can also be reflected through floor art using buckets of paint. Pavlodar is hosting the 11th Festival of Young Artists called M-Art. When talking about the exhibition by young people, we basically mean that these are professional artists and thus there are no amateur works here. The selection was quite tough. Presented photos reflect the brightest of moments, while the paintings are just native Pavlodar. This is an unusual portrait of a family at the table, made out of scraps of city newspapers.
It is not yet fashionable in Pavlodar. People are still asking whether stained glass is a type of a plastic window. I don't know how trendy it is, but I just always wanted to promote it, and that's what I'm doing right now.
The festival gives an opportunity for young artists to express themselves. The pioneers of M-art are Eugenie Fridlin and Alexander Yeroshov, who are also known outside of the country.
I can see a very high quality of the photographs. The new works are inspiring. The stained glass installations are no longer a piece of decorative and applied arts, but rather absolutely professional things that can become the basis for any industrial design.
The time is changing as well as the perception of the artist. Art experts know that each festival is unique and incomparable with the previous ones, allowing the audience to learn about new artists, trends and names.
These were all the latest updates from Kazakhstan. Thank you for being with us and goodbye.